After wearing both boots for months, I finally figured out which one I liked more. They looked pretty similar, but it's the little things that makes a difference. For the past couple of months, what I did was I would rotate between my Solovairs and my Doc Martens at work. So one day I'll wear my Solovairs, and then the next day I'll wear my Doc Martens. I felt like it would be an easy comparison because at work, I work for 8+ hours sometimes. So I can compare the differences between the two to see if one is better than the other. The biggest difference between Doc Martens and Solovair is the Solovairs, they have a shank. They look very similar, but the shank, it helps you if you're working in tough environments, let's just say that, or if you're walking for a longer period of time. For example, if you, I guess you can use it for construction shoes, or like if you're climbing ladder, they do help. But the Doc Martens, they don't have a shank. Me personally, I did notice a difference, like the heel of the Solovairs, they're a little bit harder, but eventually you do get used to it. And then whenever you do put on the Doc Martens, I just felt like they're very soft. Like I never noticed like, oh wow, my feet hurt or anything like that without the shank. And so far, I felt like the shank was not a big difference for me. But I did like that the Solovairs did have a shank. I kind of felt it after, I guess, a week or two. So when it came to durability, this was what really influenced my decision. One of the biggest things that happened to me while I was switching out these boots each and every day was, I remember one time I dropped a box on my Doc Marten boots. And as soon as I dropped the box on there, I got like a little cut, like the leather ripped. And from that point, I was like, man, I just felt like I wasted money because I spent so much on my Doc Martens. My Doc Martens cost more than my Solovairs. The pair of Doc Martens that I do have, they are the made in England. So they're like the flagship, best of the best. But unfortunately, I dropped a box on my Doc Martens. And the box was actually a box of cables. I was doing some networking stuff. And it was not a heavy box. It was nothing like that. And as soon as I dropped it on there, it just ripped. Maybe it could have been the leather. I'm not too sure. I'm not like very deep into like the different types of leather and durability, but I did notice that the Solovair leather that I do have, what is it, the grease or the greasy leather, that one was more durable. I have dropped a lot of things on my Solovairs and they've been good through the times. Also, it can be that Doc Martens, they do also have the greasy leather, so it would be good to compare the two and see the differences. But I noticed just my biggest difference between the two was since my Doc Marten ripped, I was like, man, my Solovairs are coming in clutch. They're very durable for work environment. It just could be the leather, but that ripping just killed me. Like I was devastated, and now I'm not too sure what to do. Like, how am I gonna get it repaired? Should I get a new one? Did I just waste my money? But my biggest influence and the reason why I did choose Solovairs as my daily driver or my work shoes is just, I feel like the leather that I do have with the Solovairs, they have lasted through the times. I can put them through anything and I know that they're good. I'm getting used to it. They felt comfortable. And also I did notice that the Solovairs, this is like nitpicking, they're a little bit wider than the Doc Martens. I feel like the Doc Martens are a little bit more narrow. And then also when it comes to sizing, the Doc Martens, obviously they don't have half sizes, but Solovairs, they do have half sizes, which I liked. I mean, it didn't really matter for me, but it's like for other people, because me personally, I noticed that I just have the same size for both. So I wear a 9 with Doc Martens, I got a 9 with the Solovairs, they're good to go. And breaking them in, personally, I didn't have too many issues breaking them in. It was just some time that it took just to break them in, but eventually, once you break them in, they're good to go. So as a conclusion, I do like both of these boots. The only problem that I did have, it could be because of the leather that I did have with my Doc Martens. I wish I could have tried like the greasy leather to have like somewhat of a fair comparison, but for me, just feel like I did kind of waste my money, or I don't know what's the next step. I don't know if Doc Martens can replace it or things like that, but my Solovairs are going strong. I really like them. They're like my work boot now, and I enjoy them. I wear them every day. I have no issues with them. I'm just considering what should I do with my pair of Doc Martens. my 1460s. They're good year round, but now they're under repair. I mean, it's a small little scratch, but I wish I didn't have it, because now I'm thinking about if it rains or if I walk into like some wet grass or anything, how would that affect the boots and things like that. But for the amount that I did pay for them, definitely Solovairs. One thing that I wish that I could do is test other Solovairs to more Doc Martens, just to get like a bigger scope of the comparison, like which Doc Martens are better than the Solovair and things like that, because both companies kind of started very similarly. They're both very similar competitors, even though Solovairs don't get a lot of recognition, but I feel like their product are very good. And yeah, thanks for watching. Any comments, leave them down below. See you next time.